welcome back. So we did go through how to do TMDB API and we also went over how to use Postman, right? So the next thing we need to do is actually make the GPT. So let me go to that step. So we are in the page where we have the GPT. I already have created the Cinema Scout, but we're going to repeat this process again so that you guys know how to do it. So I'll create this. So the first prompt I need to use here is, let me just go here. I will say create a GPT for trending movies from TMDB API. So let's wait for it. It will create some GPT and it will also mention this. It would also create some image and other stuff and ask us, is the name looks okay or do you want to change it? In the meantime, while this is being done, let me go to my TMDB and let me get my API key here. So it's my API key. Okay, I think we had an application here. Yeah, this is my API key. So let me prepare my next prompt here. And I think we also have tested this one with a new API key. So it works. So let's go back to the GPT where we were building it. Okay. So movie. Okay. I would say sounds good. If you want, you can play around with it till you come up with your custom name you are interested in. And post that is done. Okay, I would say sounds good. So let it go ahead and create it. And after this, the next thing we need to do is, I don't have this function yet. So let's create that. Let's wait for this GPT to complete. And once that is done, as usual, we'll go and say only people with link can access this, or I'll make it public so anyone can access it. So let's wait for this to complete. Okay, I would just say let it complete and let it complete all the updates it's doing. It generally takes a couple of minutes. So yeah, you will have access to all the prompts I'm using so that you can use it. You already know how to get the API key. Okay, let me say sounds good. So you can read through if you want to change any of it. So if you don't think any of it is right, you can always change it. Okay, and let's save this and say public. So I'm making this GPT public now. Cool, we have our GPT. And now let's go into edit GPT. As usual, we have this data here. And let me go into, you have to have code interpreter turned on if you are playing around with API. So let's create a new option. In the new option, we'll pick the API key and we'll go with the basic option. And here the policy you already know. I always go with OpenAI policies privacy. If you have a website with a privacy policy, you can point to it. It would pick it up from that. So here, all I will do here is let me show you one function and I would expand this to more. So basically, this is the API version. Info title is the title you want and description is this, and version you can give anything, it hardly matters. And the server is the base version where you are fetching the API from. Here it's api.themoviedb.org is what we are using. And this is the path for our API. Let me show you that. Give me 1 minute. Okay. So if you go into this one, https api.org is what was there. What's the server? And our endpoint is 3 trending all window. right? So that's basically is what the endpoint is. So what we are doing in our here is we gave the API and our endpoint is here. Get is the description, you can give anything. Operation ID is what you wanted shown here. So get movies trending for today, right? And name is here, API is here, inquiry, description, required is here, schema is here, and components you can skip it, it's not needed. And if you test it, it would not work because we don't have the API key. It is very likely to fail. So this is where our API key comes in, and I'll show you how we can do that. Give me 1 minute. So it would not work because I don't have the API key. So it errored out. So what I now need to do is, let me go here and say this. While performing the get trending movies for today, value of the parameter API key, make sure you use this, always use this, okay? And if we try this now, we should now get it. And the API is not something user can change. And if you want user to pass the API, you can also design it that way. You can have a basic prompt asking user to give the API, right? API key and then use it. But this is basically a free API. I don't care how many requests are being made using this, and I don't want user to go through the burden of setting up API. That's why I'm using custom instructions to save it. And after I do this, we'll just go ahead and update the GPT. I'm not a big movie watcher, so I just don't know, are this the right trending movies or not? You guys know it better. So I just wanted to show you how this would work. So let me just confirm this. And if you click on the view GPT, this would be updated here, right? So we have more to do here after. So let me go to edit. So if I go to configure, you do see the custom API key updated here. Okay, it did not do it. That's fine. So let me just do that. Let me repeat that here and save it. So we should see the custom instructions updated here with what changes I gave. Just hold a minute. Let's see, it would update it. Yes. Can you update instructions? Okay, I don't know why it is not doing that. Okay, it's supposed to do that. Okay, okay, let me mention that here. Can you update custom instructions for this GPT to have this rule? So let's see this. It is supposed to update it. Sometimes it just does not save it. Cool. Okay. So let me try saving this and see if the custom instructions is updated. So let's go ahead and click confirm with this rule. And if I come back here and redo the configure, we should now see the updated custom GPT with this. If not, I will manually update it. Okay. Let me do API. Is the API updated? Okay, never mind. So what I'll do is I'll just copy paste it and do that here. Okay, while performing, yeah, I will just I updated the custom GPT with this so that, okay, let me update it. It generally is supposed to update it on its own. So what I will do is, let's go to the function here. If you click on this, the function here is get trending movies for today. So what I will do here is what are the top trending movies for today, And similarly, let me do it for the week. And let's do it for month. And let's do it for year, right? So this basically covers potential ones. And you can, if you want subcategory of movies, you can read through the API and you can do what custom you want. And if you want to do it for specific language, you are also free to do it. And additional settings. So if you don't want the conversations in the data to improve the model, you can turn this off. By default, I have this on. So let me save this. So if I go back and let me just reopen the GPT here and go to edit. So our prompts are now updated. So, but if I go to create action, so our create action is still not updated. So let me go to API key and save. And I would use a new schema here. In this schema, not just I will have API for today and okay, it already exists. Okay, so what we have to do is, let me get out of this, go back here and let me click edit GPT. So go to configure. So what I now need to do is, let me just remove this. So we already have this. So let's go here. I'll just update the schema in place. So we got 4 functions here, which is let's do daily. So this should do the trending movies for today. And whatever I showed you the first one in the path, I have written the similar ones for month, week, and year. Rest of it is exactly the same. So there is nothing that's added here. So, okay, I think the custom instructions, it didn't pick up. Let me do that 1 minute. Give me 1 minute. Let me just click on this and say, okay, so let's rerun this. Yeah, it was working. I just don't know why it didn't show it. So yeah, let me just go ahead and confirm this. Cool. So now let's test the daily one. Okay, so let me go back to the GPT here and let's go to edit here. And if we click on this one, okay, let's do year now. Okay, so before you actually share your link with anyone, just make sure you are testing your GPT. Okay. Yeah, it's getting all the data. Okay, yeah, it's now working. So sometimes when we are using functions, it is getting an unstructured schema and trying to structure it for you. Sometimes the schema, it has issues fetching it. So generally, try restarting your GPT a couple of times with the same schema. It will work. So we now got it working for this one. And if you want to see the API key, it will print your API key here. And as far as I know, there's no way we can hide the API key. The API key will be displayed. So if you are using any API that requires you are paying for it, just make sure you have that as a field for user to enter it, so you don't end up giving your API key and be charged for some service you intended for others to pay, but you ended up paying it. So I'm testing the second GPT action here. Okay, if we do allow, okay. So yeah, sometimes it generally has this issue where it okay, yeah, when it gets the data back, the some schema it's not able to understand initially and it would not work. So the same thing worked here. So I just don't know how stable this API is. So yeah, we got the data here. And similarly, we already looked at today. You can also do it for week. You will have access to the schema used in this. So if you don't know that, you can actually just give the basic schema and just say this is the API endpoint you want. It will auto create the schema for you. Or you can give an OpenAI document example. It will create the schema for you. I've done it many times. So if you want to enter it yourself, you can do it. But if you're not very familiar with this, you can as well as ask OpenAI to generate the schema for you to be used. So let's save this. And let me go back to the GPT here. And in the GPT, let's go to movie here, movie trend spotter, and click on this now. So we have tested what GPT we were building, and now that GPT should also work in the production. So that's basically what it is. And nowhere you are asked to enter the API, but that API key is visible to the user. So just be mindful that if you are using any API like OpenAI's API key, you will be charged for every API call. So in that case, don't add your API key into custom instruction. Instead, teach the custom instruction to take the input from the user and only limit the scope of that variable to that user, and it would basically do that, and you would not end up paying for, you would not have an unintended expense. So I hope this helps. Thank you for joining.